Welcome to Eliminating Caregiver Chaos, the podcast where we stop pretending caregiving is just about tasks and start dealing with the real weight you're carrying, the emotional one. I'm DJ Castilleja, and I help family caregivers stop drowning in guilt, resentment, and burnout by teaching them how to actually process their emotions instead of just pushing them down and hoping for the best. Now, before we dive in, I want you to know this podcast is designed specifically for you, the caregiver on the go. Whether you're driving to yet another doctor's appointment, folding laundry, prepping meals, or stealing a few minutes in your car before you walk back into the chaos, I've got you. You don't need to sit down with a notebook or be in the perfect headspace. Just listen. Let this sink in while you're doing what you need to do. Today, we're zeroing in on one thing, just one, because it's so common, so automatic, and so damaging that it deserves an entire episode all by itself. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about the barriers that keep us from processing our emotions. We're talking about the habit of minimizing your emotions, the I'm fine trap. And by the end of this episode, you're going to understand exactly how it's been crushing you and what you can do instead. Let's dive in. So let's start with what minimizing actually looks like in your day-to-day life. Because here's the thing, most of you don't even realize you're doing it. It's that automatic. Someone asks you, "How are you doing?" And without even thinking, you say, "I'm fine." Your friend says, "Wow, you look tired," and you laugh it off. "Oh, you know how it is." Your spouse says, "Are you okay? You seem stressed out." And you shrug, "No, I'm good. Just a lot going on." A coworker asks how your parent is doing, and you give the short version. "Oh, we're managing. It's fine." Fine, managing, good, it's okay. Those are the scripts, and you know them by heart. You've been saying them so long they come out before you even can think about it. But let me ask you something. When you say, "I'm fine," are you actually fine? Or are you exhausted? Are you angry? Are you terrified about what's coming next? Are you grieving something you can't even name yet? Are you resentful that nobody else seems to be stepping up? Because I'm fine doesn't mean any of those things. I'm fine is a wall. It's a shield. It's what you say when the real answer feels too heavy, too complicated, or too vulnerable to let it out. And on the surface, it seems harmless. It seems polite. You're not burdening anyone. You're not making a scene. In fact, it feels like you're being strong. But inside, it's like putting a lid on a boiling pot. Let's stay with that image for a minute because I want you to really see this. You've got a pot on the stove. It's full of water, your emotions. The heat is on. Maybe it's been on for months, maybe years. And every time someone asks you how you're doing, every time you have a moment where the real feelings try to come up, you press the lid down even tighter. I'm fine. Press. I'm not that bad. Press. Other people have it worse. Press. But the pressure doesn't go away just because the lid is on. In fact, the tighter you press it down, the more steam builds underneath. At first, it rattles quietly. You feel a little irritable. You become a little bit short-tempered. Nothing major. Then it shakes harder. You're snapping at your kids over nothing. You're crying in the shower. You're lying awake at 2 a.m. with your chest tight and your mind racing. And eventually it blows. The lid comes off with a force you can't control. You explode at your loved one over something small. You scream at a sibling on the phone. You break down sobbing in the middle of the grocery store. Or you just go numb. You disconnect. You stop feeling anything at all because your body decided if you won't release the pressure, it'll shut down the whole system. And then what happens? You feel guilty. You feel ashamed. You think, "What's wrong with me? I shouldn't have reacted that way." But here's the truth. The explosion wasn't the problem. The explosion was just a consequence of weeks, months, maybe years of pressing that lid down and pretending the heat wasn't there. You didn't snap because you're weak or because you're broken or you need fixing. You snap because you've been carrying more than any human being should carry in silence. So, why do we do this? If minimizing is so damaging, why do we keep doing it? Three reasons, and all of them make perfect sense, which is exactly why they're so hard to break. Reason one, it was handed down to you. We've talked about this in the previous episode. Emotional hand me downs, the patterns you inherited from your family about how to handle feelings. If your parents minimized, you minimize. If your family's motto was, we don't talk about that, then you learn that feelings are meant to stay hidden. It wasn't a lesson they sat you down and taught. It was absorbed. You watched and learned. And now you're running the same program without even realizing it. To learn more about this, go back to episode 4. And then society piled on. Toughen up. Stop crying. Don't be so sensitive. Those messages didn't just come from your family, they came from everywhere. And they all said the same thing. Your emotions are a problem. Keep them quiet. More about that in episode 5, the last episode. The second reason we minimize is you're trying to protect the people around you. You worry that if you're honest about how you're really doing, you'll burden your loved one. You'll make them feel guilty. You'll create tension in the family. You'll upset your kids. You'll worry about your spouse, so you say, I'm fine, to protect them. And on the surface, that seems loving, it seems selfless, but here's what's actually happening. You're taking on the emotional weight of everyone in the room while pretending you have none of your own. You're managing their comfort at the expense of your survival. That's not protection. That's self-destruction disguised as kindness. And reason 3, just sheer survival. Some of you minimize because you're afraid that if you let out your real feelings, even for a second, you won't be able to stop. If you start crying, you'll never stop crying. If you admit how angry you are, you'll lose control. If you acknowledge how overwhelmed you feel, you'll collapse. And then who takes care of everything? So you press the lid down harder. You say, I'm fine, and you keep going. Because stopping feels more dangerous than breaking. I get it. I understand why we do this. Every single one of those reasons makes sense. But understanding why we do it doesn't change the fact that it's costing us everything. Let's talk about the cost. Because minimizing isn't free. You're paying for it every single day. You just might not realize the bill is adding up. Cost number 1, your body is keeping score. Bottled up feelings don't disappear. They move into your body. The tension in your shoulders, the headaches that won't quit, the stomach problems, the insomnia, the jaw clenching, the exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. Your body is trying to release what your mouth won't say. And so that's an important thing to remember, is that every emotion has a physical manifestation. And we'll talk more about this in a future episode. Every emotion that we have has a physical side effect. Think about when you're sad or you're grieving. It's interesting that we're created this way, that when we have this sadness, water starts coming from our eyes. And it's a physical manifestation of an emotion we're feeling. When you're angry, some people turn red, their blood pressure goes up, they clench their jaw, clench their fist. When you're anxious, you get these butterfly and tingling sensations inside you. Sometimes you get nausea or very tired. Every emotion has a physical side effect, and your body is keeping score. Cost number 2, your relationships are suffering. When you minimize with everyone around you, you create distance. People can't connect with someone who's never real with them. Your spouse feels shut out. Your friends feel helpless. Your siblings don't know the weight you're carrying because you never told them, and then you resent them for not showing up, but they didn't know you needed them to because you said you were fine. Cost number 3, you stop asking for help. This might be the biggest one. When you keep telling yourself and others that you're fine, reaching out feels unnecessary, or worse, it feels impossible. You convince yourself that others won't understand or that they'll see you as weak or incapable, so you carry the weight alone, even when a helping hand might be right there. And over time, you don't just avoid asking for help, you forget that you're allowed to. You've said, "I'm fine," so many times that a part of you starts to believe the lie. And now you're not just carrying the weight, you're invisible under it. Cost number 4, it leads to aloneness. And this is the final blow. When you minimize long enough, you end up emotionally isolated. You're in a room full of people who think you're fine because that's what you told them. But inside you feel completely unseen, unheard, alone. And that aloneness, it feeds every dark thought. No one cares. I have to do this all by myself. I don't matter. Minimizing didn't protect you, it isolated you. And isolation is where burnout lives. And we're going to talk more about this in a future episode. What to do instead. So, what's the alternative? If "I'm fine" is a trap, what do you say instead? And I want to be clear, the alternative is not dramatic displays. It's not falling apart in front of everyone. It's not constant venting. It's not walking up to the grocery store clerk and unloading your life story. The alternative is honest acknowledgement, and it can start incredibly small. Here's what this looks like in practice. Instead of "I'm fine," try, "Honestly, today's been rough." That's it. You don't have to explain everything. You don't have to pour your heart out. You just crack the lid open enough to let out a little steam. Instead of "It's not that bad," try telling yourself, "This is hard, and it makes sense that I'm struggling." That's not weakness, that's honesty, and honesty is the first step toward getting the support you need. Instead of laughing it off when someone notices you're stressed, try, "Yeah, I'm stressed. Thanks for noticing." You'll be amazed how much power there is in simply letting someone see you for 2 seconds. And here's the big one. Find one person, just one, who you can be real with. Not everyone needs to know all of your business, but you need at least one safe space where you don't have to perform the "I'm fine" routine. One person who can sit with your feelings without trying to fix them. One person who says, "I see you, and what you're carrying is real." That's how you start to break the cycle. Not with a dramatic overhaul, not with perfection, just one honest moment and then another and then another. You've been pressing the lid down for a long time. You don't have to rip it off, just start loosening it. So here's what I want you to take away from today. Minimizing your emotions isn't strength. It's a habit you inherited from people who didn't know any better. And that habit is costing you your health, your relationships, your ability to ask for help, your connection with people around you. You've been saying "I'm fine" for so long that you've started to believe it. But deep down, you know the truth. And acknowledging the truth, even in the smallest way, is not weakness. It's the bravest thing you can do. You don't have to carry this alone, and you don't have to be perfect at letting people in. You just have to start. If this episode hit home for you, I want you to check out my book, Caregiver Emotional Mastery. You can contact me, email me for it. It's free. I send it to whoever asks for it. It goes deep into everything we talked about today, the minimizing, the patterns behind it, and the tools to start showing up honestly for yourself. And if you're ready for real personalized support, coaching, community, frameworks that actually work, I would love to connect with you. All you have to do is go to www.eliminatingcaregiverchaos.com because you don't have to figure this all out alone. That's the whole point. Thanks for listening to Eliminating Caregiver Chaos, and we'll see you next time.